Hey, Brett, we can't start the podcast.
Why?
I have something in my eye.
Well, get some water and rinse it out.
Okay, I will. Hang on.
How did that happen?
Well, I was flying through the crypto space over the blockchain and was admiring the Ethereum when all of a sudden a flock of Bitcoin flew past me and flicked dust into my eye.
That's not how any of this works.
What?
Welcome to WTF is CryptoSpace. I'm Brett.
And I'm Chad.
This podcast is all about the crypto space.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is our favorite segment time. Brett, is it your favorite segment?
Oh, absolutely.
It's my favorite segment. It's everybody's
I think it's everybody's
favorite
favorite segment. Yeah.
It is everyone's favorite segment. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go into Fuck.
And what does fuck stand for, Chad?
Frequently asked questions. Today, we're going to do a little bit of discussion podcast, but before we get to that, we're going to do the frequently asked questions section. And Brett, this is an important question on everyone's lips, on all the Australians' tongues who know about crypto space. Is Bitcoin acceptable as money in Australia?
Yes. But
okay, cool.
Only
is there any more to that?
Only after the 1st of July. 2017. See, I'm gonna sort of read a little bit off the ATO or the Australian Tax Office website. That's like the IRS if you're talking
in America. Yep.
In America, exactly. And so now, when you're looking at this, what we're looking at is I'm just going to read a little bit off their website. So generally, there will be no income tax or GST implications if you are not a business or carrying on any enterprise, and you simply pay for goods and services in Bitcoin, okay? So where you use Bitcoin to purchase goods or services for personal use or consumption, any capital gain or loss from disposal of the Bitcoin will be disregarded. So it's like a personal use asset. So provided the cost of the Bitcoin is $10,000 or less.
Wait, so I can, if I spend like $9,999, I am sweet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sick.
And look, like I said, it gets recognized from the 1st of July because they really want to go ahead and promote fintech in Australia. For today's topic, we are going to discuss: is the crypto space for people who like tech, or is it for investing, or is it a new paradigm shift altogether?
Now, Brett, in my thoughts and research of this particular topic, I feel like it's investing because you need to go with me. I'm gonna start somewhere and then gonna end somewhere else. All right, so
sounds good.
It's kind of like a flight. This actually came across my my phone today. It was the budget for the New South Wales government, and they're talking about the pros and cons and stuff like that. One of the things I pulled from it was the fact that the government's actually going to give stamp duty, a stamp duty concession to new home buyers, and that excludes investment properties and developing. So if they seem to be shifting from developing and investment on property.
So just to clarify for a sec, stamp duty for those who aren't in Australia is a tax?
Yes, it's a tax so it's a percentage of the overall amount that you pay for your home or a property or an asset that's larger than a certain amount of money. So
Absolutely.
the one thing is happening in the 1st of July 2017 is that anybody who's planning to purchase off the plan buildings, which means that not constructed, but you know it's going to be constructed at some point, if that's going to be commercial properties or residential investment properties, then they are going to be slammed with a stamp duty tax straight away at the start, where it used to be 12 months behind. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is that it's focusing on a specific niche of the market, which is to invest in people coming into the market, first home buyers. The reason why I say that is that if you're investing in something, then property at the moment is going to cost you more money than it used to. However, if we flip over to the crypto space, from my research, there's a few bullet points that I want to go through to say the reason why I think investing in crypto space is legit and is a good thing to do. So the first one is that there's a massive injection of money into the crypto space. So through initial coin offerings in the last year, they have raised $180 million. Now that sounds like it's for charity, but it really isn't. They have raised $180 million just this year, which means that the injection of money into a thing, for anybody who hasn't sort of dealt with stocks, if they inject a massive amount of money into, say, a stock, and everyone does it at the same time, it artificially inflates the price, which means that your price goes up. But in this, it's actually going up and sustaining there, which is amazing stuff. Also, the crypto market is growing so much faster. The comparison is in the Bitcoin. Just Bitcoin alone, from this time last year, it's grown, pardon me, this time last year, it's grown over 346%. So it is 3 times the price, 3.5 times the price it was this time last year, which is insane. However, we get to Litecoin. Litecoin is 1,100 times the price. So we're talking, it's jumped 11 times the price it was last year, this time. Biggest thing I've looked through, and the thing that no one people predicted, but and the most amazing increase in percentage, Ethereum has grown almost 3,000% since last year. So it is currently sitting, around in we'll say US dollars, around the mid to late $300 per coin. That has grown 30 times since last year. So where, in comparison to the Australian property market, Sydney, we're talking in larger volumes clearly because houses cost more. However, the Sydney price market, and this is overall, Sydney's housing market in New South Wales is growing 20%, and that was the outlier. That's the one ahead of everything. Melbourne is 17.5%, Canberra is 13.64%, and Darwin has gone backwards by 4.41%. So it's in the red, 4.41%. The reason why this is so attractive is because the percentages, if you invest the same, for an example, same amount of money as you would a house, which is your risk, obviously, but if you invest that amount, you would make, say you put 100,000 in last year at this time last year into Bitcoin alone, you would have made an extra 246 grand on top just in a year, and that is ridiculous. The other thing I like about the investing in this is that not only can you invest in it, the cryptocurrency sits in the middle of property and stocks in my assumption, because stocks, you don't have any sort of leeway of being able to change the price. You just invest and just hope for the best. You just put your money in there and go, oh God, hopefully there's no GFC or something like that. In a house, similar, you just chuck your money in, but you can improve the house. In cryptocurrency, there's also a way to get more cryptocurrency without...
Tell me how, Chen.
And well, it's amazing, and I did the research. This is... They actually call it mining. So you can mine Bitcoins and other currencies, which is another way to invest in it without having to put initial capital down. You do have to have like an amazing computer. But you can do that that's the capital you put in and your electricity, and you can exponentially grow your lot in the crypto space. Your
portfolio.
Yeah, your portfolio in the crypto space. I got 2 more points. One thing is about between 6 and 8 weeks ago, I actually, with the help of Brett, got into cryptocurrency. I've seen, personally, 400% increase in Ethereum alone in the last amount of time. That's personally to me, which just to me shows the potential of this particular technology and stuff, which is my last point. Technology advances. The future is almost upon us, and we say that every time because the future could be upon us. The future is a abstract thing, a notion. It's a philosophical point in time which we'll never achieve to. But
I was thinking George Carlin. The time is here now. Oh, there it's gone. So
there is no other time but here now, yes. However, if we look ahead, technology is moving so rapidly. I went and actually got a quote for a computer.
sure.
And he said my quote is only valid for 2 weeks. That's how fast technology is moving. If it's moving in the direction that these guys are going, the technology advances in the future are going to be astronomical, and they're using blockchain technology, which in turn affects the cryptocurrency and just makes an overall just boost and boost and boost. So it is the best time to get it and invest in this. So that's my thoughts, Brett. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, look, I agree with a lot of your points, and I can see definitely where you're looking at. And I think that tech is a big thing about underlying how you're sort of talking there. Where underlying, you're talking about that. But look, for me, Bitcoin and blockchain is a quantum shift in the way we're going to do business and then going forward.
Okay, so what do you mean by quantum shift?
Well, I was reading, so I read the Satoshi white paper, okay, and it just blew my mind, okay? So you see, from my perspective, Bitcoin is so special because it sort of represents the open blockchain, okay? So it started the game. And so, it's got anonymity, it's got censorship resistance, it's got open access, and it also allows, because it promotes innovation without permission. And that's a really important part. Without permission. There's
no gatekeeper for technology advancing as fast as it needs to.
Exactly. You've got to look at it this way, right? So in the world at the moment, and in terms of the stats, there's 2.5 billion people in the world who are what's called unbanked. Okay, so they don't have any access to banking right now. And there's 4 billion in the world who are what's called underbanked. So they have lacking services in terms of what they're doing. Now,
wait. Are those two just be added together, like 2.5 and 4%?
No, so 4 in total.
Yeah.
And the 2.5 billion of the 4 billion has no access to banking services right now. And so, but the thing when I look at this is that the power of this sort of technology means that you're able to then have the power of a bank in your hand. Okay, so when you start to give this technology to some of these people, you will revolutionize how they do business, and they will leap ahead in how they do business because they don't ever need a bank. They won't have a relationship with a bank. And so
what does that mean for younger generations?
Yeah, well, look, the big thing for me is I say, okay, well, the children born today will not have a bank account. They'll only have like a bank app, for example. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the bank apps are very popular at the moment, and I'm guessing they're going to stay. They're here to stay.
Oh, absolutely. And the big thing is when you look at this sort of technology and how it's going, and I know, see, part of what I'm looking at is the tech here, but then when I say the paradigm shift, what I'm talking about that is my first question for you, Chad, and this is not you directly, but this is when you're looking at investing in the cryptocurrency, is where are you going to put your profits? So you make the 346%, like I own Bitcoin, I own Ethereum. What am I going to do with my profits? So,
yep.
So the key is that what do? Take it out and put it back in the Aussie dollar? And then we go back into the conversation, well, what backs the Aussie dollar? And so, it becomes sort of, well, nothing. It's just a confidence game that someone believes that they're going to pay back someone else essentially this money. It works on a network effect. And, when you look at, so like I said to you, Chad, I mean, for me, I like the history of money. And, not everybody's topic, but when you started off, you got barter, and then you got up to precious metals, then we had paper money, and then plastic money. You imagine the first conversation with Visa, right? So at their first dinner party, and they go, what? You know what? Actually, I forgot my money. I think, I'm going to leave this paper or this card as a representation that I'm going to be back. And they go,
no, I don't know when that happened, but I'm sure it was around the time when the guns were legal at the thing. I'm like, no. That's
not
There's
real money.
dishes in the back. There's dishes in the back.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
can do the dishes. Yeah.
And so now we've moved to network money. Okay. Because the thing is that this sort of relationship is global and borderless. You can't...
So decentralized, yeah. That's the decentralized part.
Exactly, which is the decentralized autonomous organizations, or DAOs. So the thing is that the transactions, they cannot They have an anonymity. They cannot be frozen. They cannot be seized. They cannot be censored. They cannot be stopped. You know, the big thing about...
They sound like the Terminator, to be honest. That is definitely what not the 2000, the 3000. The one that was liquid.
I'm sure we can't use the lines out of the movie for that one.
No.
But because he'll come and he'll come and get you. So if, you know, you got to look at it this way, right? So with money and with currency, you know, you're looking at building a value exchange between two people or between many people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the key is that the last Bitcoin issuance is in the year 2141.
Right.
So there's just little bits and little bits and little bits added to the supply, which is similar to what would be if you were mining gold. That's sort of the principle behind where this was sort of...
Yeah, so it's not all coming at once and you don't have this massive like grab bag of it.
Yeah, which is why, I would recommend staying away from anything that was a pre-mined coin. That one I can say straight out. Yeah. You know, because it's one of those things, when you look at the economics behind it, you say, does that make sense? And then does the technology make sense? Because one of the big things is, look, I'm just coming up towards the end of what I'm talking about here, Chad, but, you know, 90% of businesses tend to fail.
Yes.
Right? And
that's
one of the big things that we haven't quite reached in this space just yet is that what happens if the ICOs, these initial coin offerings, don't deliver on the product they say they're going to deliver on.
Yeah.
Now, I would say that 90% of these people or these businesses or these entities or these tokens are not going to exist in 10 years.
Okay.
So the biggest thing is that as you look at this as an investment space, you have to understand where the technology is going.
Mm.
Because, you know, it's great to maybe put your currency in this, but people still have to understand there's a risk in that when they're looking at it from an investment.
That's absolutely true. There's a high risk in everything.
But one of the things that you really want to look at is, okay, as I said before, and you were saying, you sort of touched on this when you're talking about mining, is you go, well, how do I acquire or earn money in this space and get paid in crypto?
Yeah.
And when you start to sort of go in that direction, you'll notice that over time, you know, I mean, this is the thing. We're probably 6 or 7 years away from sort of what you were talking about before. I mean, you're talking about houses. I'd love to buy a house using cryptocurrency.
Absolutely.
And there will be a time and an opportunity and a place and a token that does this. But one of the big things about investing in any cryptocurrency is that it must have a community. And it must have a clear focus, clear goal, and potentially deliverable outcomes that will go with that. Because otherwise, it's just like something out of the .com boom. In the 90s, you know, just because you put .com at the end of your title, it meant that suddenly you had this wonderful $1 million business, and away you went.
That's true. But no one knew how to do HTML, any coding,
right.
Nothing at all. They're like, I just have a .com. Look at where it doesn't go.
Except for Alan Greenspan from the Fed. You know, but the thing is that you go, well, you take that same sort of thing and you replace the word .com with the word ICO today.
Yeah.
And we're back at that particular first phase.
Right. So it just sounds like a really crappy Kickstarter, potentially.
Yeah, like that. And look, and that's sort of where we are at the moment. But the key is, look, this is a huge shift, a huge change in where we're going to do business. And as this network effect enters the population more and more, this will replace all of the fiat currency systems that exist today.
That is a very bold prediction, and I think I'd like to discuss this like further and further, and we'll cover more of it. But it's just interesting to ponder. You know, it could be an investment strategy, it could be just a use of like it's just the technology, or it could be a complete paradigm shift, which is interesting.
But the most important thing, Chad, is we're having a conversation about the topic.
Well, that's true. That's true, because, you know, by conversation, you get knowledge, and by knowledge, you get whatever comes after that. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us and listening to this podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed myself. Brett, did you enjoy yourself?
Absolutely.
Every time we enjoy ourselves. Like us once, comment twice, and share the link to our podcast to your friends. And look, help them get involved and find their way into the crypto space. We'd like you to connect with Brett and I on Facebook, on Twitter, on Steemit. You'll find all of those links in the podcast description. We would love if you guys could go over to iTunes or Stitcher or wherever you're listening to this podcast and give us a review. That really helps other people find us and it helps us grow our community, which is basically the reason why we're doing this. We just want to talk to people and keep the conversation flowing back and forth. Also, you guys, if you haven't clicked the subscribe button on this feed, click subscribe and you'll get the post weekly. We post this every Wednesday and it'll come into your podcast feed and then from your podcast feed to your ears. Well, that's it from us, guys. I'm Chad.
And I'm Brett.
Let's get excited about the crypto space.
The transition has begun.
Do, 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 do.